Hey, welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I am Steve Smith. Welcome to all the new people, both on YouTube and on Patreon, where I say we have the smartest commenters in the YouTube land, and even more depth over on Patreon. I just put a couple over there. I want to talk here for in a minute about you might have 3 months and what that means. Uh, But I just put a couple over on Patreon you might be interested in if you're not over there. One was you know, right now, preparing is more important than it's ever been before. I know that, the drum is always being beaten. This is the worst time there's ever been. This is, we've got to do it now. Well, I tell you what, things are happening now that have never happened before. And if you don't think that now is the time you need to be up in your game, I suggest you take a second look at that and see whether you might want to. A long time ago, a long time ago, I'm not that old of a channel, a couple of years, I guess. One of my very first videos was about storing food, and if that has ever been important, which it always has been, it's so important now. People losing their jobs, the supply chain problems, the inflation coming, and this is what I've always recommended to people. Why it's important to store, stock food. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have. A lot of people are put off because they're not sure what to do, and it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to. Well, I won't say what you don't have to do because that might sound like I'm taking shots at other people, and that's not my intent at all. But I lay down exactly what you do have to do, what you can do, and it's very simple. So I reached back, I took one of my old ones, I've put it over on Patreon. I think it's called The Next Step, but it was put up on what is today, October something or other. See, I don't pay attention to the calendar. October something or other, 2021. So if you're wondering what to do, how to stock food, or even if you've done it a little bit and want to think about how to do it better, I show you the easiest, the simplest, the quickest, and the cheapest way to do it well. And once you get to a certain point, you're never going to worry about it again, okay? Because you should also be thinking about producing food. I think I probably addressed that in there. I don't know. But this is about storing food and stocking food and whatnot. A lot of people out there want you to worry about things you do not have to worry about. And that's the purpose of this. So those are over on Patreon. Okay, you may have 3 months. Do you remember back when Trump was elected and many of us said to ourselves and to each other, well, we've either got a 4-year reprieve or an 8-year reprieve, right? This was after Obama and the destruction he had done to our country. So we may have 4 years to prepare for the really bad times, or we may have 8. Well, as we got towards, the third year of Trump, and we saw, now those people, let me back up here, those people who prepped as if they had 4 years, they're doing fine now. They're ready. We are ready, right? For pretty much whatever. I mean, not whatever. There are things that can happen that we are going to have a hard time dealing with. I'll be talking about those in a future one. Going to have a hard time dealing with them because I don't think most people are prepared for those things at all. Because it's difficult to understand them if you don't have a wide understanding of the threat of the monster. But those people who said, okay, I've got 4 years, I'm gonna get at it, I'm gonna do what I can in 4 years, they're doing well. Those who started prepping or increasing their prepping as if they had 8 years, now wish they had prepped as if they'd had 4, right? And now as we got to the third year of Trump, and when we saw who the Democrats put on their ticket, everybody kind of breathed a sigh of relief, didn't they? Because, oh my gosh, okay, they have obviously thrown this election away. They don't think that anybody could beat Trump, so they've put somebody up there who can't. The same thing happened with Clinton. And for those of you who aren't old enough, you go back to Clinton. it seemed as if George G.W., not G.W., but George Herbert Walker Bush, the first Bush, it seemed like he was such a lock to get reelected that none of the top tier Democrats would run against him. And the one that kind of bubbled to the top was a little known idiot that nobody thought could win, and that was a young governor with a lot of personal problems in his past named Bill Clinton. Well, we saw what happened, right? And he had 8 years to create destruction across this country. So when the Democrats put up their ticket to run against Trump, a lot of people said, oh, well, okay, we've got another 4 years because there's no way that these two bozos can take out Trump. And I cautioned and I said, be careful. Be careful. The same thing they thought wouldn't happen. Clinton couldn't be reelected. They thought Obama couldn't be reelected. You don't want to operate on hope. You want to operate on a little bit of intelligence directed by experience, and intelligence directed by experience showed us that there was a way that, and very possibly, that the Democratic ticket could knock Trump off. Well, we saw what happened. It doesn't matter. It does not matter whether it was a fair election or not, because if you're fighting that battle right now, I'm not telling you to don't fight the battle, because people are still fighting the battle. I understand. That's great. But that has nothing to do with your personal preparedness. And if you're all locked up in that, hamster wheel, you're not thinking about what you need to do for your personal preparedness, and that's what you need to be thinking about. So, it's not about a civil war, a revolution, or anything like that. It's about you being able to weather what's coming your way. And there really, shouldn't be any doubt about it. So it just came out, and everybody's heard about this situation that the El Presidente came out with, saying that every company with 100 or more employees and all hospitals, all healthcare, everything like that, was going to have to require the jab. Okay? And so a lot of places did, and a lot of places didn't. And of course, what a lot of people didn't understand was that his directive, it didn't take effect immediately. There's a process through which this has to go. It was taken over to OSHA. And now OSHA has taken it over to the OMB, the Office of Management and Budget. OMB just came out today saying, well, as we implement this, they usually give about 10 weeks lead time before they require it of employers. So people who are leaving their jobs now, of their own volition, that's their business. If they're going to other places that don't require it, that's good. But I want to tell a story about a couple of friends of mine. One friend of mine, he's a retired game warden, and he works at a hospital, as security. He's a part-time security officer. It's kind of a retirement job. And he didn't want to get it at all. But he was afraid it was coming to the end of the month here where they're saying, well, if you don't get it, you're going to be fired. Okay. I'm waiting for my retirement. And I suggested to him, I said, well, there's these other hospitals that aren't requiring it. So you might check with them. Well, he went past a hospital, he got a hold of somebody, and they told him, no, we're requiring it the 1st of November. And so he thought, well, okay, if they're requiring it too, I may as well stay where I'm at. The pay where we work, the pay is phenomenal, to be real honest. I'm going to hate to give up that little pet, but they're going to do it. And it's totally understandable that he wouldn't want to go someplace else. Because we get our officers in our department are paid better than the police department, and benefits, great benefits. So he went ahead and got the shot, and I didn't want to, but he did. Another friend of mine left that same health system, went to work at the health system that my first friend talked to. They said, no, we're not requiring it. Okay. As of now, we are not requiring it. So realize that there's a lot of conflicting information out there, and the information you get is going to depend a great deal on who you happen to talk to. You know, not everybody knows what they're talking about. Everybody thinks they know what they're talking about, but you know, anybody over 21 has learned that not everybody does. And so be very, very careful about what moves you make. Really look into it. See what the truth is behind it. And even if all of these are going to be, as it goes through OMB and then OSHA comes about and does bring down these draconian restrictions and requirements, there are a lot of lobbying groups out there, and very large lobbying groups. I think the National Retail Association, whatever, are asking the government, please don't do this until after the holidays. And there's other groups beside the retailers. Please don't do this until after the holidays. It's going to kill the economy. Now, maybe they want to kill the economy. I mean, everything that they've done in the past shows us that that's kind of what they would like to do. But who knows? I mean, these groups have a lot of lobbyists, a lot of money that they contribute to campaigns. So the power plays that are happening behind the scenes we'll never know about, and they will have the effects. The point of this is that these requirements, if they come down, and I say if, because more and more people are rising up, more and more people are resisting on this. These things may not go through. They might decide, okay, well, we've seen that this is the point to where the people back up, and so we're gonna back off this. Now that doesn't mean they're not going to come back with it later. They will, but they might back off of it now, and you might have more time to prepare. Okay, so what I'm saying is this: you might have 3 months to really kick it into gear and to up all of your preparations, whatever that may mean to you. It might mean food, it might mean property, it might mean position, it might mean defense, it might mean everything, your finances, everything, whatever you need to strengthen. You might have 3 months to do it. You might have longer than that, okay? But there's no way at this point to know. And so my advice, my suggestion, start prepping now. I've said before, redouble 10 times your preparedness, and act as if you have 3 months and no more. And then if you have more, you'll be glad you did. You'll be well on your way. But if you prep like you have more time than 3 months and it turns out you don't, well, you're going to come up short, just like the people who thought they had 8 years to prep, right? So don't do that. Preparation is about being prepared, not getting prepared. And too many people, although I understand you got to get prepared to be prepared, but too many people get caught up in the process, and to where it becomes an end of its own. The process is not an end of its own. Okay, the process is the way you get to the end. So, do we have 3 months? Do we have longer? We don't know. You all do the best you can. There's so much more coming out. I had a list of like 6 videos I wanted to shoot today. I'm just going to do one a day, but I'll get back with you later tomorrow. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. Preparation starts back whenever you started, and if it hasn't started for real yet, it starts right now, and you better get at it. Okay, talk to you all later. Bye-bye.